guys, it's Quana back again with another video, and this video came requested. Those of you who participated in our channel poll and you voted for this video in particular to go first. I'm probably going to do all of those videos listed, but I wanted to make sure that this was the very first video that I posted from that poll. So this is a review of Netflix's First Kill, and I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now, I am not going to remember everyone's name who was in this show. So in advance, I will be referring to IMDB during this video to kind of help things out, okay? Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Quana. I might have said it already, but in case I forgot, hi. And welcome to Her Real Review, where I review television shows, movies, all over the internet, whatever I can get my hands on, and I watch it. I am a film enthusiast. I teach a film and literature course in real life. And I have been an avid movie watcher since I was knee-high to a tadpole. So hopefully you will enjoy the content on this channel. If you have just seen me for the first time, don't forget to click the subscribe button. I would love to have you come back. And if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Interact with it so that I can know what you guys are thinking, because this is not a one-way conversation. This is dialogue that I'm bringing to you. So here we go. First Kill, which is a show that I binge watched about 2.5 weeks ago, sometime like right after I got back from my summer vacation. My very quick trip to the beach. Wasn't a lot, just enough to kind of be able to say that we took the kids somewhere. And I watched First Kill. I personally am an avid fantasy film sci-fi geek, especially love vampire-based shows. All through my teen years, I was like big into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It definitely got started for me with Wes Craven's Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I think was directed by Wes Craven. Was it? Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. It's been a while. I should know that. But that's the one with like Winona Ryder in it. Keanu Reeves is in it. It's amazing. And of course, Interview with a Vampire, starring Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, a young Kirsten Dunst, Antonio Banderas is in it. So I've just really always loved vampires. Blade, Wesley Snipes, Blade, yes. Pretty much anything with vampires I've always loved. And the premise of this show kind of hits in my sweet spot because it combines literature and vampire lore, because the premise of the show is that a vampire from a legacy of vampires falls in love with a vampire / monster hunter from a legacy of vampire / monster hunters. Sound familiar? It should, because this is a riff off of Romeo and Juliet. One of the main characters' names is Juliet. Their school that they're attending is putting on Romeo and Juliet. They're from two star-crossed families, not star-crossed families. They are star-crossed because they're fated. They're from two adversarial families, and they fall in love. And it's based off of a tragedy. So that should kind of let you know where things end up at the end of this show. This is a very interesting show because it's kind of like a YA romance. The two characters are girls, so there's an LGBTQ romance, a queer romance going on. It's really, really cute. It's really cute. Now, I was surprised that the show does the thing that shows do that are YA now, which is use a lot of like adult language and adult situations, which that wasn't really that surprising. But I also felt like at times if you're going to lean into that, but then there were other times they didn't really push the envelope at all. Like there was little to no nudity, which I can appreciate. I can appreciate that because it's really hard for me as a teacher to watch actors who are supposed to be playing teenagers being nude on screen. I don't like it, which is why I don't review Euphoria. I don't like it at all. But the premise of the show, really interesting. A lot of good bones there, right? it builds its own world. It's set in Savannah. It took me like 2 or 3 episodes to know where they were in the United States. I was like, where are we? And they may have said it in episode 1 and I forgot, but I distinctly remember episode like 2 or 3 finding out that it was Savannah and being like, oh, they're in Savannah. I love that. Savannah is famously a ghost town kind of situation, like Savannah, Charleston, New Orleans. They all have kind of like that old school Southern Gothic vibe to it. I really wish they had leaned into that a little bit more with like the houses and the architectural structure of the show, because the architecture in like Charleston and Savannah is so unique that it definitely lets you know when you see it, you're like, oh, I am in the South, right? But other than that, the bones of the show, really, really interesting. The main lead character, whose name is Juliet, falls in love with this girl who's a vampire hunter named Cal. I really wish they had kind of found a way to riff off of Romeo and Juliet by giving her a Romeo-esque name. But that might have been a little too on the nose, but I just feel like they leaned into it in so many other ways throughout the show that it was like, why not just go there? Because Juliet's best friend is this guy named Ben, which really should have been Cal's best friend Ben, because Romeo's cousin's name is Benvolio, right? And Juliet's best friend's name should have been like Ty, like Tybalt. So that's one of the things that I kind of really wish, just as someone who knows Romeo and Juliet frontwards and backwards, wish they had leaned into a little bit more. Like, if we get a season 2 of this show and we don't get a character, I guess there is. I was getting ready to say that we don't get a character like Mercutio. There is kind of a Mercutio-esque character, I guess, in there. But again, there were times that they leaned into it, and then there were times that they didn't. I wish it was kind of like a little bit more like go campy with it and lean into it. So the show's premise is really good. Now, it's called First Kill because Juliet is a young vampire, and in order to like awaken into her heritage, she needs to go ahead and have her first kill. She's been taking blood suppressants to kind of keep her from harming anyone, but that's running out. On the flip side, her love interest, Cal, is waiting to have her first monster kill. So they're both waiting for their first kill. And every episode's title has first in it. I like that. It was very, very engaging, a way to tie it all together. There are a lot of filler moments in these shows in these episodes where it drags. And then there are a lot of moments where one episode runs to the other and it just feels like it's such a short space of time. Now, in Romeo and Juliet is famously set in like 2 weeks of these kids' lives. And they're, of course, young and they're in love and they're dumb, young, dumb love. And so that's, okay, that works. But in the real world, I don't like shows and movies that suggest characters falling in love very quickly without there being some kind of foundational reason for their love. And that didn't give me this. And so I really felt like it should have been spaced out a little bit more time-wise. It would have made a little bit more sense. But again, I'm going to keep saying, and this is going to be kind of all over the place, the thing I like about the show is the bones of the show. The premise is really intriguing. It also creates a world in which other monsters exist. And one of the things that I don't like about the show, I guess this will be a spoiler, but I feel like it's a necessary spoiler, so I don't mind saying it. Is it this world where vampires and monsters are real. However, you go like 5 episodes, like at least a good solid 5 episodes, with like seemingly no one else knowing that vampires and monsters are real. Okay, cool. We've been through this. If you're Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we've lived through this. We know Interview with a Vampire. We've lived through this. We've lived through this idea of like vampires existing in like espionage and secret societies and not letting regular humans know who they are. Like True Blood, not coming out of the coffin just yet, and all of those different things. And it, now that I think about it, it also feels like it's like Romeo and Juliet meets True Blood, is the campiness of it all. But you go 5 episodes without knowing or with thinking that this is all secretive. And then around episode 6 or 7, it's like, no, they know about the monsters. They know that vampires and monsters are real. They have monster drills, like at school where they have to lock down, like we have lockdowns for shooters, they have lockdowns for monsters. I'm sitting there like, how did we go 5 episodes without knowing that this was a thing? Like, what is that? And so it's probably my biggest pet peeve for the show, which is just that they create this interesting premise and they even begin to build some interesting lore, but it doesn't feel polished. It doesn't feel, and even if we're not going to get all of it right away, if they're saving some of the lore for future seasons, it just doesn't feel like it's refined, like it was fully thought out. It's like every episode was written as a capsule, and then nothing was ever, and things happened that should have informed earlier things, but they didn't, and it feels like plot holes almost. But really interesting premises in this show. I didn't feel like there was enough chemistry between the two leads, and to be honest, I felt like the actress who plays Juliet, Sarah Catherine Hook, who plays Juliet, I felt like she actually did a really good job of making me believe that she was really interested in Calliope and that she really had a desire for Calliope. I did not feel like Imani Lewis's Calliope felt the same way for Juliet. Now, initially, there's a real reason for that. She's a vampire hunter, so she's kind of hunting her. But at the moment where they begin to build a real relationship and actually fall in love, it just doesn't ever translate. And building off of a premise like Romeo and Juliet, there needs to be like some like really strong sexual energy between the two of them, some really like passionate, I am willing to die for you energy. And I just felt like I never really got that. Acting wise, the characters that steal the spotlight, Elizabeth Mitchell. Elizabeth Mitchell's in lots of things, but the thing that I remember most is that she is in Santa Claus 2, where he has to find a Mrs. Claus, and she was Mrs. Claus. And Aubin Wise, who plays Talia Burns, who is Calliope's mom, she was acting her behind off. She was amazing in this. So there's a lot of good bones to the show. It was really, really good. I also don't like the way that the show ends. It ends in a cliffhanger. Now, this is important for me to tell you guys in this kind of spoilery, but kind of non-spoilery, because I like to keep some things mysterious so you guys have something to watch, review, or take on this, because we live in a Netflix world, and Netflix is notorious for not renewing shows. Now, hopefully it will get a second season. Netflix is also notorious for giving shows second seasons, and it's after that they fall apart. But it ended with a cliffhanger in such a way that if it's not renewed, we will just never know. And we'll be sitting here like the fans of us, those of us who are fans of the OA, wondering what the heck was going to happen next without any answers. So I really wish that the final episode, even if it was going to like lead into possibilities for the next, ended in such a way that it felt resolved. I think one of the ways they could have done that is by giving us those last scenes as kind of an end credit scene, or find a way to like tease that there's more to the story if they're trying to like sell this to the execs at Netflix. Like, hey, we've got more to this story if you'd like to bring us back for a second season. However, letting this one season feel kind of self-contained in and of itself, so we don't get any more from it, then it would feel satisfying. It also gave like 2 kind of big bad characters, and I felt like there should have only been one. I feel like Eleanor should have just been like, let Eleanor be the big bad, and then we find out what we find out later on. Why did there need to be multiple big bads? Because then again, now we don't know if it's going to get renewed for another season. But I really enjoyed this. There have been some bad shows on Netflix, and this is campy. So if you haven't watched this, obviously I've already given spoilers, so I'm so sorry. I don't know if I gave a spoiler warning. I've tried to I didn't tell you a lot, okay? Just so that you know, I didn't tell you a lot. But if you haven't watched this show is campy and it's fun, and you kind of have to go into it thinking I'm watching something that's meant to be campy instead of something that's meant to be serious. Although it is going to feel like it's trying to be serious, and I think that's where the struggle comes in, it can't decide between Buffy and the last 3 seasons of True Blood, if that makes sense. All right, guys, so that is all I have for you for this video. First Kill, Netflix, season 1. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought about this show. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you watch it? Are you going to watch it because I gave it such a glowing review? Good bones. Good bones, good meat. The seasoning just needs to be a bit stronger, okay? All right, so I would say if I'm giving it a grade, y'all know how I do grade it on the curve. I'm a teacher, so sometimes I throw out some grades, and I tend to grade on the curve because I'm a sweet teacher. My kids will attest. I would give this a B, because I grade things off of what I think they're supposed to be, and it lives in that like CW teen space. This would have been a great CW show. This would have been a bomb CW show because CW is messy. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodles.